Hey Patreon backers, thanks again for supporting us and posting your questions on the Patreon Discord. You can leave them there for the extra Patrons Ask GN bonus episode, which is what we're filming today, consequently. First question is from someone who had 3 questions in one of the public Ask GNs, and that's Nory. Gave you a little bit too much publicity there. Nory, with the name 2088 MHz Titan XP at 38C, says, hello, Steve and company. If you move to a bigger office, how will this affect the frequency of Senior AMD Analyst SnowFlake and Chief Financial Officer, I'm assuming you mean MightNight, on-camera appearances? So, my plan is, I'm still keeping, actually, to answer this kind of seriously, I'm still keeping some of my production equipment here, where it is now. I'm hoping to even keep the old wood wall, which is over there, the kind of like OG wood wall that was just plain wall, no shelf or anything. Hoping to keep that there, so if I have to, I can film stuff here. I'm hoping to leave the option of doing some streams from here rather than from the potential office, because I mean, it'd be kind of nice to be able to do just like a simple PC build stream. If it's something I can handle on my own without needing staff, then I would love to leave that option open. So I'm keeping a lot of what we have set up now where it is, and we'll still be working from here, which means my plan, I've actually thought about your question, and my plan is when we get stuff in, this table, I don't know if it'll stay or if I'll replace it. Either way, we're planning to get one of the like nice raising and lowering tables, so the wobble will go away with that for the new A-roll set if we end up getting that office I mentioned in the previous episode. But this might stay here, and if it does, then I will be able to take some B-roll here when we get stuff like cases in with SnowFlake. So you'll still get your fix, and I'll still get the fun of seeing what she does with the products, because, I mean, I'm going to have a camera anyway, and I can take B-roll competently enough to get a shot of a cat next to a product. So don't worry about it. She'll be in just as many. A-roll appearances will be less frequent, obviously, but we can still do some fun stuff just in B-roll. So she will still be here judging the products, to answer your question, and we'll see them in person. And I will also be keeping some of my operation here anyway, because I like it. So next question is Stu, who says, have you considered producing a GN podcast, perhaps with industry guests or GN staffers? Actually, yes, a lot. We've talked about this over years now. So first of all, the word podcast, I'm going to address that. Anything we do will probably have a video component, just because YouTube is such a good platform for us. The reach is really easy. Exposure is easy. So if we do something that's like podcast style, long form with a guest or something like that, then likely we'll have a video anyway, and it'll be one of those things where you can just like tab away and not watch it and just listen. I don't know that we would upload it as an MP3 or anything like that. Maybe if it got big enough. Supporting that many avenues of content production is really difficult, and especially if you're talking like hundreds of viewers on wherever we would upload it versus just tens of thousands on YouTube, where we can tell people this is mostly audio, there is video, it's boring because it's talking heads, just go look at another tab. So we'll probably, yes, we have thought about it. Industry guests I want to include with greater frequency as we look at that office I talked about last episode. Just to recap from the last one, if you missed it, someone asked if we are looking at expanding. I'm running out of space here. It's my house, so yes. But we're not going crazy with it. I'm not getting like a huge warehouse or anything like that. We're getting something that's appropriate to our needs, and will be financially responsible, so we're not going to be spending too much money on it. I mean, it will cost a lot because it's office space, and internet will cost, sadly, a lot, but we've done a really good job, I think, of finding a space that we can grow in without spending unnecessary or irresponsible amounts of money on it. So my hope is that getting this space will allow us to pretty easily bring in guests and do videos with them. So yes, it is in the plans, but we're kind of still figuring it out right now. Next one, sneakeyboard says, I already asked elsewhere, but chose to ask here to ensure more visibility. Do you proudly wear or use the merchandise, i.e. the GN logo shirt like we do, Is it just for when in camera, if not casually, when going to groceries, or do you go out incognito to avoid signing modmats? Yes, I'm actually super proud of our products. The modmat is like one of the things I am most proud of making out of our whole career. We've done some extremely cool content, but I genuinely love this modmat because I use it. So yes, I would say yes, I do proudly use them, and we're making more stuff that I've been using, but can't show you yet. I'm pretty proud of that stuff too. It's just we need to get it actually made for volume purchases. So yes, shirts. I wear GN shirts almost every day because I film almost every day. I have a lot of cool like band shirts I'd love to wear more often, but I guess I basically get to wear those like maybe once a week. So yes, I mean I do wear it for work too, obviously, but only been recognized locally like at a non-convention in public a few times, and normally I'm wearing one of the shirts, so I think that makes it easier for people. But it's it's not like Kyle, like Bitwit Kyle. When I was at PAX with him and we did that panel, he had like, we both stood outside and talked to people for a bit after, and got photos with people. There's still one person I missed a photo with, and I feel really bad about it. I'm sorry if you're watching. But Kyle had a line of probably like 30 people waiting to talk to him and get photos, and I had like maybe 10 or something, and Kyle's line just kept growing, and like it was crazy. It didn't make me feel better. I mean, I actually preferred it that way because our audience was like, people who were there who wanted to talk to me were more technical and like wanted to talk about specific things they've learned or wanted to know about, and Kyle's audience really, really, really wanted to get selfies and stuff like that, which I'm cool with too. But the point is, like, he's at a level, and his content type, same with Linus, is like a more mainstream type of content that they actually do get recognized somewhat regularly, whereas I can get away with it for the most part not being recognized. Next one is from Moxy Seth, who says, do IO or SA voltages vary depending on IMCs, and when raising these voltages, where exactly would problems occur? There can be variance when you get overclocking. Stock, it's pretty much going to depend on the motherboard and the CPU, but that's more motherboard dependent. Once you start overclocking though, yes, the IMC quality will somewhat influence like how much you need to push those other voltages, and you should always limit them, like as far as where problems start occurring. That's pretty much universal. So 1.4 volts SA on a lot of Intel CPUs is kind of dangerous territory. 1.35 in some cases, pretty bad. SoC voltage would be the equivalent on AMD. That has a very hard line for where it's bad. And so, no, that doesn't change too much. I mean, yes, like quality of the IMC can impact it, but ultimately, if it's a good quality IMC, it's still going to degrade. It's just, it's degrading from a higher starting point. So it'll bring you down to an average and eventually below average if you push it too high for too long. So it does still degrade. It's just, it starts at a higher level, so it doesn't look quite as bad. But yes, the amount you have to increase the voltages will depend on IMC quality and on the memory quality. But that's kind of where it starts and stops. Sharkims says, can you really achieve positive pressure with nearly silent fans? Or for example, will the rear case fan just pull in dust and potentially recycled air through all of those rear case holes? That's certainly possible if you're running like a higher speed rear case fan than anything else. We've seen it. I'm trying to remember what case it was on. H500M or something like that. We saw, NZXT's H500. Yeah, where air was getting pulled in through the PCI slot covers. That worked out well though, because that was a negative, that was a negative pressure case. It was pulling air in through the back because air will come in through anywhere when it's only negative pressure, and it's exhausting. Can you really achieve positive pressure with nearly silent fans? Yes, you can, but it's going to be more of a challenge if you have a rear case fan that's running at a higher RPM than both of those, because until you start collecting dust, or if you have an anemometer, it's kind of hard to know exactly where's higher pressure. I talk about this in the other AskGN, the public one. I have a question about fan speeds from VSG, and I think that answers a lot of this, so I will defer you to that for further detail. But it is possible, but yes, the rear fan is a consideration. Last one, Solarity says, as a YouTuber, did you find it uncomfortable or intimidating at first to do videos? Also, have you ever utilized liquid courage or alcohol to take the edge off? No, to the second question. And also mostly no to the first question. I guess the two go hand in hand. But I did want to bring up this question though. If you're trying to do any kind of video streaming or whatever, and you do find it intimidating, I was talking to one of the other media outlets, their written outlet, they're getting into video, and I've been encouraging them because their content's really good, but they were originally kind of intimidated, like you said, about being on camera because, I mean, I get it. Like, people are going to judge you, and people will comment on appearance, people will comment on, like, lighting quality, people will comment on set quality, they'll comment on everything except for the content once you get to a bigger size. But that's the key. At a smaller size, the audience that actually likes you enough to comment and to subscribe is going to be more interested in the content than everything surrounding the content. So whether that's technical or entertainment, it doesn't matter. Those first few people care the most about what you're actually trying to do. And so that makes it, I think, if you feel intimidated, just keep that in mind. Focus on those core people who are new and subscribing to you because they enjoyed the content. Just focus on them. Don't always listen to subscribers because especially as signal to noise ratio gets worse as you grow, there are suggestions that just don't fit or that might steer you away from your vision because it's your product too. If you're running a channel or stream or whatever, you got to keep yourself in mind. You know, you're there for a reason. So yes, listen to subscribers, but don't let it run your business. That said, do focus on those first people because they are probably there to support your content. They like what you do. It's not like they're taking a chance because there's no real risk, but they are subscribing to someone who's new and not battle tested, I guess, with high, you know, when I say battle tested, I mean like producing high volume content, like frequently. When it's a smaller channel, you commonly see people, and we did this too back in the day, commonly see people saying like, sorry, I haven't posted anything for a while, I'm getting back into it, I'm trying to do one every week now or whatever. Happens all the time. So people are trusting that you're going to be somewhat frequent, they like the content, just ignore everything else. Like, there are very helpful suggestions we've had in the past about lighting or whatever, about shutter speed, stuff like that. And it's important to pay attention to those, but not to a point that it like makes you despair doing videos. And also remember too that if you are a person who wants to help small channels, the opposite side, if you're watching channels or just anyone and you want to provide them some feedback that you think would be helpful, please reread what you wrote before you post it and consider your tone, because especially for a smaller content creator who's not as used to it, anything that comes across as demanded or unsolicited advice that's rude or just kind of in a harsh tone, it will probably be ignored, or it's more likely to be ignored because no one wants to deal with that. So like if you have advice for someone on lighting or whatever it is, you try to approach it hopefully from the perspective of an expert, not just a random person who's watched a lot of videos, but try to approach it from a perspective of knowing what you're talking about without being unnecessarily mean or rude or whatever. So that's kind of those are the things to consider. I did not find it too uncomfortable, I don't think. Like, I've gotten more visibly comfortable on camera. This is second nature now. It doesn't really, I don't think about it at all. But I don't think I was ever uncomfortable. I think I just got better at it. Like, I think I was still comfortable in front of the camera. I just wasn't very good. So that's, I think, mostly what it comes down to. And in public, like filming at a convention or something, there can definitely be some not peer pressure, but there can be some pressure from your peers just watching and stuff because you feel like people are judging what you're doing in a more professional setting. But that never, I enjoy that because I see it as a challenge, and I really like to just like be on point and good and go through all my points, go through all this information that we've memorized and do a good job in front of other people who are maybe at the event. So I actually enjoy that, but I could totally see where it would be intimidating. Anyway, hopefully some of that is somewhat helpful or inspirational, but otherwise the answer is no, not really. So anyway, thanks for watching as always. I know this one had more questions that were like related to the business as opposed to hardware, but I don't know. I'm going to play around with it and see if we can mix in like 1 or 2 hardware questions with 2 or 3 of the other ones, just because I think people are really interested in that stuff sometimes, and I don't really want to feel. I worry that I would not be interested in talking about it to the wider audience who aren't that into what we do, but like our content, if that makes sense. So anyway, you're already subscribed, but post more questions on Patreon, Discord if you want. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time.